Hey guys, it's Serena. This is my first video. I decided to just go for it. I've been over preparing myself for my duties, I don't know, for the past couple of years. So I decided that I just need to go ahead and do it. So, I just want to say hello, and I'm grateful that you're here watching this video. I've decided to take my steps to serve humanity in the only way I know how. I feel like I'm a cheerleader for humanity. I feel like I want to see us succeed as a species. I want to provide support and a community and a safe space for people to deal with the shit pile that is life. But to be able to overcome everything and to start creating a life that they love. That's I got that motto from Christopher Duncan of the Magnetic Mind program. I'm truly grateful for, very blessed that I stumbled upon that one day in the shower. Usually I skip ads, and I couldn't. I was listening to some binaural beats, and for whatever reason, why you would think that while someone wants to meditate, you'd want to hear ads, who knows? But luckily, it was a good thing. I couldn't turn it off. So I heard what he had to say, and I was sold. So I said yes to me. I joined that program. I bought his book, You Are Not Broken, and I started recoding my brain. I was able to stop smoking marijuana. I was able to stop chewing my nails till they bled. I started losing weight without even trying, all because I wanted to build confidence. I looked at myself as um, needing to be more resilient to life, and I didn't have the confidence in myself that I really should have. And the past 2 years have really been an eye-opening, amazing, dream-like experience. And I want everyone, if they want to, I want everyone to be able to experience the magical life that has now become my own. um, I just want to share. My birthday's coming up, and my nephew surprised me with some books when I went to go check our P.O. box today. Um, I've got Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's got a foreword by Greg Braden. I love him too. And Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, also by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I know my camera quality isn't the best. I apologize, but I'm doing it anyway. So I'm very excited. They're pretty thick books, so I'm gonna have lots of free time to read those. We bought some land in South Central Colorado in the San Luis Valley. It's beautiful and magical out here. Um, I'll tell you a little bit about myself just before I go rambling on so you understand my story. Um, I lived in Chicago. I've lived in several places. I was born in New York, lived in New York. I've lived in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. Florida is lovely, beautiful to visit, but it's way too hot all the time there, and like 6,000% humidity, which does not agree with my sinuses or my mental health. So I moved back to New York when I came of age. Love the mountains, love the just the Jackson Pollock paintings of the Northeast. Vermont is beautiful. But in New York, the people not so much. Um, so I decided I'd move to Chicago, thinking it's like smaller city but accessible. Um, and lived in Illinois for like 12 years. Met my husband there. We had a child. Um, I have two girls. I have an older daughter, who I had at 17. I was a single mom for most of her life, until I met my husband when she was like 12, and then was surprised with another little girl. So I've got the girl genes, I've got the girl drama. Um, but I'm very proud of my oldest. She graduated early. She's extremely smart, loves animals. She became a vet technician right out of high school. Um, can't be more proud of her than I am. And it looks like her little sister, who's almost 12, she's following in her footsteps and wants to care for animals, and just it's a it's a very nice scenario. Um, I come from a long line of alcoholism, drug abuse on both sides of my family. Um, and I'm pretty sure at some points in my life I could be considered an addict, an alcoholic myself. That was the only way I knew how to deal with things, is to just drink them or smoke them away. Um, and then I decided in 2015 that, you know, there's more to this life. I started waking up before then. Started like when I was 20 with 9/11. It really opened my eyes to the true workings of things. And uh, so I was always kind of ridiculed. I think I've always kind of had a second sight. Um, Apparently, my grandmother stopped wanting to watch me because I was able to obtain things in my crib and my playpen that I wasn't supposed to have, and would somehow magically have them again after she would take them away. So she didn't want to watch me anymore. Um, and I don't know. I've always, when I get upset or get frustrated or really excited about stuff, I tend to freak out electronics. So um, I got called a witch by my dad, by my younger brother and sister. Like, I don't know. It was just, I tried going to church as I got older, because I always wanted that God part of my life, but I sought it externally. And so that brought, I tried all different denominations, um, and it just made me feel really uncomfortable and an outsider. I didn't have Bible verses, burned into my brain, so I couldn't recite things. And I guess just the way that I looked, um, I would be, approached by people at the church asking me if I was a witch and do I really believe in Jesus, and just all kinds of things, do you fear God? And it's like, no. Am I supposed to? I mean, isn't he? I mean, yeah, in the Old Testament, he's a jealous God who doesn't want us worshiping anyone else. But in the New Testament, it's like two different gods to me. And once Jesus came around, it's like everything became about peace and forgiveness and turning the other cheek, and not going an eye for an eye, and destroying villages and cities because they had differing religious beliefs, which I really don't understand. But anyways, so I started becoming more spiritual in 2015. Started being scared of aliens in 2015. I used to have like the deepest dread. I would get up very early in the morning, like 2:30, to go unload trucks at Target. And I I would get in the car And I would already have a sense of impending doom or just some kind of pit in my stomach. And I would expect like a 12-foot reptilian to come walking around the bush from the side of my house. Like, I don't know. It was really grating on me. It started making me not want to go outside in the backyard after it got dark. And it was just like this deep-seated fear that I didn't understand where it was coming from. And I was listening to Dolores Cannon. I haven't read her books, but I would listen to interviews that she had done, and I would listen to other people, um, who had read her books, who had, done her courses and trained with her and whatnot. So I really liked what she was saying. I dug the whole star seed thing. I do believe that there are some of us who came here on a mission with a purpose, and that's what I want to help people get back to. So um, I had a QHHT session with a woman who lived close by, which I thought was just a godsend because there's not, especially back then. I mean, there's more people into her things now, but back then, trying to find someone who was into that kind of stuff and, a practitioner, I was just like, this stuff is like just falling into my lap. So it was an incredible experience. She took me back into the void. Like she took me all the way back to where I didn't exist anymore. And that was really interesting. And I it's just so eye-opening. And one of my like the very first memory that I had, um, I feel like I was an Aborigine, like Australian. But the more that I'm learning, I feel like I could have possibly just been like a Native American. And I am of Mohawk descent from the Northeast into Canada. Um, but when you look at, tribes from the Southwest where I'm located now, um, it just, I don't know. Everyone kind of looks the same. You see people from Belize, from Mexico, they come up this way. So it's kind of like you can't really tell the difference between Native Americans. I mean, there are times in photographs where you can say, yeah, that's definitely a Native American, from the 1800s. But when you also look at depictions of them, when people would draw them or paint them, especially in the Northeast, you didn't have the dark skin. You had a good tan, but um, they kind of just look like white guys, with awesome headdress and outfits. And I started thinking like, I'm pretty sure like all of us who are around today, we're a mixture of everyone, everything that's come before us. And in that first memory that I had, whatever I was, um, I had I was very dark, not black, but I was very dark. And I had these different designs painted on my skin, but it was like a white sandy paint. It wasn't, anything like I went, had a paintbrush and like red paint and just like painted on myself. You could tell it was done with fingers and it wasn't paint. And I just like I saw myself, I was in a cave that was on the ocean, and that's where the memory started was I opened my eyes and I was in the cave and I started hearing commotion outside. And when I got outside, all my fellow tribesmen were running around. There was fire. The sky looked really bizarre, and there were these really tall, uh, pyramidal shapes, but they were like obtuse angles. They were very tall and slender, black pyramids, and they were landing in the shallow parts of the ocean. And I don't know where the fires were coming from. I don't know if some had already like come about and there was chaos from them. I kind of just like walked into the whole like reality of what was going on at that point, and it was so chaotic that it was something to take it. um and then I saw this being from far out in the ocean, and just a very large stature, like a almost like a football player, like a tall football player, just like very built, muscular, and tall, and bald. And when they it started coming closer into the shore, like he was walking through the water from his ship, and when he got closer to me, it was like, I don't know, I was like frozen. And as he got closer, I could tell that he was a reptilian, and he was in a uniform like the rest of them that were there. And there was like, I don't know, there was like a weird connection between the two of us. And he approached me and um, smiled at me, and then gave me a hug. And I don't know. It was very, very interesting. And that was as far as that memory went. Um it's pretty crazy. And so I'm not saying like reptilians are good people, and I'm totally okay with being around them and all this other stuff. I just I know that not all of them are evil. It's just a knowing, just like not all humans are evil. It's just a knowing. And so that was my my last memory before I went into the void where there was nothingness. Um, but so that was my original memory. And so I feel like our species intermingled. I feel like that was what was allowing me to see from that angle. And after that experience, um, I wasn't scared anymore. And I told myself, because I was always afraid, oh my God, if one of them, like I've loved aliens and stuff like that my entire life. My dad like totally raised me watching In Search of with Leonard Nimoy and X-Files and um oh, there was all kinds of wild old TV shows that we used to watch together. That would talk about Bigfoot and aliens and sea creatures and just, all the oddities of the world. So, um, I was scared that if I saw an alien in real life, I would just have a heart attack and die, which is so disappointing because I feel like that was it's a big part of my life. I don't want to be scared of experiencing something so crazy and so magical. It really is. So, fast forward to today, where we live, it's like a top 10 UFO hotspot. Didn't know that before we moved here. It was kind of like it was it was really neat how it happened. We sold our house in 2021. Um, we were sick of Chicago. We were sick of the big city. We were sick of big government. We were sick of everything. And we just wanted to get out and start living life on our own terms. And I feel so blessed that my husband felt the same way, because going through COVID there was extremely difficult. And I watched so many marriages collapse into divorce, marriages being called off because people actually had to spend time with each other, people, fighting over kids getting the vaccine. Dad didn't want to, mom did, and it's just like, I'm so glad that me and my husband saw eye to eye and, got the F out of there. when we did, like crazy. And so we sold our house, started traveling the country. Um, and what a beautiful country this place is. Just, the scenery, the people, like it really restored my faith in humanity. We never met anyone who was less than a beautiful, kind soul. And it was awesome. Everyone we met was very friendly. I can't tell you how many things people just gave to us. Here, we don't need this. Do you guys want it? Here, we have extra of these. Do you want it? Oh, here we have some extra meat that we're not going to be able to eat up before it goes bad. Do you want some? Like just just all kinds of magical, wonderful things from humans. And I really needed to have that faith restored. And so on the tail end of our journey, I told him I really wanted to see Roswell, New Mexico. And so we went down there, and it was awesome. Like I'm so glad that that city embraces its history the way that it does. Like if you haven't visited Roswell, New Mexico, you really have to. And we traveled to Taos, and oh my God, it's you can just feel the energy and just the magnificence of it, just driving through the mountains and feeling it and meeting the tribes down there. It was just such a magical experience. And we decided to take a small highway north from Taos up into Colorado, and we ended up here in the San Luis Valley. And we just we really really liked it here. It was like as we were driving towards the New Mexico Colorado border, this worship song started playing, um and it was just like singing about being home. I'm going home where there's no fear. And he was singing about going to heaven, but I feel like that's what my journey the past couple of years has been about. It has been me gapping that bridge and becoming that bridge in my human form to, like the Chinese say, that's the philosophy that humans are the bridge between heaven and earth. Like you connect the two. And I fully, wholeheartedly believe that. And we came up this way. It was just so like the energy here is just so incredible. I cried. It's just the mountains here, just oh my God, it's just so beautiful. Like we still traveled around after we came up here, but wherever we went, we kept saying, man, we stayed at the San Luis Lakes, even though they're dried up and there's no lakes there anymore. We stayed there for a little while, and then we kept traveling. And no matter where we went, we just always said, man, I really miss the lakes. I really miss the lakes. And we decided that there's just like this quiet stillness here, and it's just so peaceful, and the people here are of a different caliber. Like even the kids here, they're very respectful. Everyone is so helpful. Everyone goes out of their way to be kind and make sure you have a place to be for a holiday. We got invited, to spend Thanksgiving with a family just so we didn't have to be alone. And it was just it was very nice. So we started looking for land, and of course, the prices had jumped, not as drastic as they are now, but the prices of land had jumped, and there was a lot less parcels than when we had started looking in 2020, because we knew back then we wanted to get the F out of Dodge. So but we were looking on the other side of the mountain and in a different area. So when we decided on the piece of land that we're on now, um, it was I wanted to use my intuition, And, I could just tell it was the spot. Like my husband was really into it. And um, it's just like as we drove to go look at it, I just had like this excitement well up inside me. And we had looked at a lot of land, and that didn't happen with all the land. But I knew to listen to my intuition and to harness the information that my higher self was giving me. Like, yes, this is the place. Like, yes, you feel good for a reason. Yes, it's magical over here. Like, just plant your roots and start. So that's what we did. Bought 5 acres out here. We just moved out onto the land um, a week ago. So we have no cell service, but we are still full-time RVers. Um, but we love each other. So it makes all the difference. It makes total difference. Um, you have to really love somebody to be in such confined quarters for so long. Like we're going on almost 2 years now in the RV, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else. And I'm excited that we're out on the land now and we're, like clearing, the sagebrush and the Chico bushes, just so we have places to start growing and start building. And it's just magical. And I want to share my story. I feel compelled to share my story to inspire others to I want to inspire you to have faith in yourself, like borrow my belief. I didn't always believe in myself. I was always Debbie Downer. It felt like I was always looking for the other shoe to drop and being rational about things, and logical, and all the things that ruin the magic of life. And in 2020, I remember in the beginning of it, we were going through some rough times with money. We were having house issue after house issue, and I loved my house. And we just we had all kinds of problems there. And I was working overtime, my husband was working overtime. And for what? Like we never saw each other. And sure, we had money, but all that money was being spent on house repairs or increased property taxes. I mean, our property taxes were like seven, almost $7,000 to $8,000 if you weren't a homeowner. And our property taxes being a homeowner was like $5,200 a year. And we didn't even live in like we had a, 0.48 acres or 0.25. Yeah, I think it was 0.425. I don't know. It's a quarter an acre, whatever that works out to be. Um, and you know, for what? Like it was a rare occasion that I got to enjoy the tiny backyard that I had. Um, we had family in Chicago because we were in a suburb. We had a family, our family was in Chicago, and, you know, driving back and forth, it was like half-hour drive, but half-hour drive in good traffic. Like you get on the highway and you're sharing the highway with like 9 million other people. It's like, what in the hell am I doing here? So everything there's always some kind of accident, always some kind of construction, always some kind of mess going on. Um, protests and just any and all met car fires, car explosions, just anything you can think of or anything you've seen in the movies, it would happen. It really happens in Chicago, unfortunately. Um, and I hated it there. I absolutely hated it there. There were so many dense places of energy that I didn't feel comfortable in. And I didn't understand it at first. But I do now. I do now. And the past couple of years, being on the road and, just most places that we went to, you know, didn't have Wi-Fi. Like that wasn't we're not the kind of people who, parked and sat in the RV all day. Like we wanted to uh, park and then go explore. So we were hiking mountains, looking for dinosaur tracks. We were like going swimming. We were, like we were really taking full on advantage of being one with nature while we were out traveling around. And I am so grateful for that opportunity. And I just, I want to be able to share my story. I want to radiate my vibe out into the ethers just so that my tribe can finally find me and so that I can start helping us create the community that we all are looking for, that we all want, and that we all fully deserve 5,000%. And I just, I just want to say I'm grateful again for this opportunity. I don't have signal out on the land, so I'm using the Wi-Fi of my husband's business graciously. Like I'm so grateful for um, everything that's occurred along the way. But I'll cut this short. This was just kind of like an introductory video, and I do appreciate your time. And I promise I'll drink more water next time so I don't have to clear my throat so much. um, but it was just like I said yes to me. When I signed up for Chris Duncan's Magnetic Mind program, I said yes to me. And um, I really put in what I wanted to get out of it in the beginning. I won a scholarship, which helped me pay for it. And then they offered payment plans. So I was just like, oh my God, like this is amazing. And then because I'm in the US and he's in Australia, our currency difference gave me even more of a discount. So it was like, I can't say no. I know in my heart that this is what I want to do, where I want to be, and how I want to be helping people. I'm a huge nerd, so I love the scientific aspects of working with the brain and creating new neural pathways and just recreating your mindset into a more positive, beneficial way of being. And I can't be more him and Hannah and I's. William Whitecloud, he was someone that Chris had learned from personally. And I was also blessed enough to be able to work with him for a little while as well. Not with him directly, but in one of his groups with his facilitators. And um, through doing his practices and exercises, I feel like I was able to center myself and just become my own best friend. I finally I finally looked at myself in the way that I needed to this whole time. I appreciated each previous past self that showed up 100% in every stage of my life to get me to where I am now. And I can't be more appreciative to myself than than I am right now. And I think it's wonderful that I can say that I love myself and appreciate myself for everything that I was able to overcome. And I was who I was. I was who I was back then because that's who I needed to be to get through what I was going through. And, we're an ever evolving work in progress. And I can't say thank you enough to those three people. Like, I feel like William Whitecloud is my crazy eccentric, like, neighbor who gives me these wisdoms that don't make sense at the time. But then it's like, oh my God, that's like mind blowing. Like, when you finally like grasp it. And Christopher Duncan is like my older brother who wants to push me and push me and push me to do better for myself. And Hannah is like totally my like geeky best friend who wants me to like get into all the sciencey stuff and wrap my mind around how all this stuff really works so that I can, help share it with the world as well. So, oh, and then I want to throw Bob Proctor in there too, because Bob Proctor was like a grandpa to me. So, like, listening to his videos and being able to participate in some of his live programs before he passed. I am eternally grateful to be able to have experienced that kind of stuff with him. um, I've been very blessed in my life, and I'm glad that I can now appreciate all those blessings. And I feel like the reason why they just kept rolling in is because I decided to say yes to myself. The universe wants you to have faith in yourself. And you go through shit all the time, but it's how you look at it. It's your perspective on how you're going to navigate through it. So if you have a poor mindset, of course you're going to stand there and stomp your feet and cry and give up and not do anything with yourself and blame everybody else for it. But as soon as you realize that if you change your perception, change the way that you're looking at things, and just have faith and start taking those steps, that everything just starts to align for you. You don't know how or why it happens, but it does. I mean, towards the end of our travels last April, we were kind of like, well, I don't know, we're gonna have to like park somewhere and get jobs, and how are we gonna buy land, and just you know sorry. So it was like those kind of thoughts just like rushing through our minds, and then we get our RV mail like shipped to us, and there's a couple $1,000s from our mortgage company because they had given us enough of the money from the closing of selling our house. So we had a couple $1,000s there. There was settlement money from a job settlement that had been going on for over a year when we hit the road. So I had totally even forgot that we were gonna be getting that money. Um, so there was that money. It was crazy. Like just enough money to keep us going from this to this to this. And so then like just so happens company up the road was hiring. My husband decided to apply for it and he got the job. So he started working, and I had time. My daughter started going to school in the fall. We were homeschooling her for a few years. Um, and we wanted to reintegrate her back into society. So she was like a wild feral child. um and it's hard for kids when they're the only one that's on this ride with us. We have an 80-pound Bernedoodle who's technically her brother, but she needs a real like pal. And so we we wound up meeting a really cool family out here. They have two girls. Later on, we met another family. They have a little girl who's a little younger, but we all just instantly clicked, and we all just like instantly got along. So it's fun to have like instant friends here. She's doing great in school. Um, so it's like when you say yes to yourself and you start having that faith and you start really stepping out of your comfort zone, um, and just believing that you deserve the life that you want, and that you can create it. It's just like, if you're 300 pounds overweight and, sick all the time and you feel like shit, start exercising, start eating better, start, implementing change into your life to get the ball rolling. Like, you are your own greatest art project. And, if you want sculpted abs, you can, do the exercises and have, do the diet and the performance techniques to create six-pack abs. You want a round bubble butt, instead of going to, Mexico to go get one installed. You could, do the exercises to create one. I mean, everything is within your own power. And that's what I want to share with people, is that we have the power. God is inside of us. We are a part of God. We are gods in our own right. We are created in his image. And if we step out, say yes to ourselves, and start living from the heart, magical things just start happening. And so that's what I want to bring to the world, is my message, that we can heal ourselves, that we can be happy, that we can create lives that we love, that we don't need vacations from, that we don't hate, that we aren't stressed out and sick from. Um, I want more people to start doing that. I want more people self-sufficient. I want more people believing in themselves and not just succumbing to the 9 to 5 or 11 to 7 rat race, or staying in abusive relationships because you feel like you're unworthy of having a loving one, or whatever the case may be. We all have our sordid stories. We all have trauma. We are all traumatized beings. It's just whether you choose to crawl out of that hole and choose differently for yourself. And that's what my message is here, to be shared with everyone, is that we have the power and that we are going to be great. All right. Thank you for listening this far in. All right, there will be more updates as our signal permits. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you a blessed day. Thank you. What was that?